Hello everybody, welcome to the Property Vlog episode 3. We thought we'd bring it forward this week slightly due to the big news yesterday from the budget and to have a bit of a chat about all things financial from Rishi's statement. I think the one everyone wanted to hear about was stamp duty. So I'll hand over to Phil for how you found it and how many calls you've had in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good news, really positive for everyone in the property market. I think, that won't just go for us on the legal side, it will be for agents and brokers. So that long-awaited extension has been granted. I know we've been talking about it for a few weeks now, but you never know until the announcement is made. So another extension for a couple more months at the £500,000 threshold, with then a very welcome tapered back approach to the old stamp duty rates, and taking it down from 500 to 250 back to 125 in steps, which is great because not only does it give the whole industry a break in terms of allowing transactions to go through, everything still gets treated with obviously the priority that it needs, because a lot of people are now ready to move in March, but those few people that would have missed out now will have that benefit. And then as you go down through the next 6 months or so, people, if they don't make the next deadline, will still have £250,000 tax-free threshold to benefit from, and then again for a couple more months back to the old rates of stamp duty. So really, really good. I know a lot of my clients are breathing a sigh of relief. I can probably have a Sunday off again now, which is great. So really positive, and it's exactly what we wanted. We were conscious, especially on the conveyancing side of things, that we didn't want it just pushed back for, say, 3 months or 6 weeks or whatever, because all you do is you relocate the problem from now to the future. So having that tapered approach is really what we were asking for. And thankfully, our friend Rishi has sorted that out for us. So really happy on that note.
Yeah.
And then not only that, we've also had a couple of other bits of good news for your side of the table, as it were, with the 95% mortgage guarantees, which
brilliant
I know
news.
we're still waiting for some details, but I'm sure you've got some kind of preliminary thoughts about that.
Yeah, lots of buyers, especially I'm sure from your side, Jamie, have been asking if they can go and buy with a deposit of 5%. It was, until a year ago, the norm. They were one of the most popular mortgages out there, was deposits of 5%. And lenders have been more cautious, been more nervous because of the pandemic, obviously, and because of the furlough scheme being on. However, with the government offering this government guarantee scheme, those of us that are old enough will remember the previous Help to Buy scheme, where it had the residential properties with the government guarantee of 20% on the loan. Very similar to that. In my opinion, it's more needed now than it was then. It was launched last time as a response to the recession, 2008. But now there's more need for it because there's literally no rates available apart from the ones you can count on one hand. So that'll be, I think, a game changer for the market to unleash a whole swathe of people who've been really keen to get out there. And the benefit being, unlike the Help to Buy equity loan scheme, it's actually going to be available for home movers, people that have owned properties before, downsizers. Exactly that. So
I think that's really important because that opens up the market a lot.
Yeah.
Because these schemes for first-time buyers are great because obviously that access to the market is really important. And we all know how hard it is to get on the property ladder sometimes, and there's a lot of things in place now. If you look at it, Help to Buy, the ISAs you can get, the savings that you can get as well, but opening it up to home movers as well.
It releases the second part of the market.
Yeah,
the third part.
It's going to be great.
It allows
for you
everyone
in
to level
particular.
up. Allows everyone to level up, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you can now have a whole chain in theory, moving with government help and government support, which is great. So that must be positive. You will hopefully see an uptake in interest.
Massively. I mean, what it's allowed now is confidence back in the transactions. So the people that have been worried, concerned, or people that have got new builds that have exchanged and not quite completed, or deadlines been pushed back, as we know new builders do, they've now got the confidence back. The pressure's off a little bit. And again, you'll see that again with the conveyancers. And I think for us as agents and in the conveyancers world, as we look at it, our concern is fantastic news that you guys have got more time now. Does that mean the pressure's off a little bit for you, or is it still going to be hell for leather now for the next 3 months, where you're going to be under even more pressure because, like you say, you're expected to have Sundays off soon, and it's not going to happen, I don't think, mate, for another 3 months or so.
You're not wrong. I mean, it's, as I say, the important thing to stress is that every transaction has its own priority. So
totally.
What you don't want clients to feel like is that, okay, 31st of March is no longer a deadline, because a lot of people have planned their lives around an end of March completion, and those transactions will still go through.
Especially for chains, you've got several links in the same thing.
What it does mean is that for people that probably let's be honest, started slightly late to enjoy the benefit, they're going to get that benefit now.
Yeah, lovely.
And those few people that have issues crop up in a chain that means there was going to be a week delay or 2 weeks delay, which inevitably happens, you know, despite everyone's best intentions, they're not going to be sold short. And this announcement means that they will have that benefit also. So really positive. But yeah, you're right. It's not to say that I think we as an industry can kind of take your foot off the gas, as it were. That's absolutely not what it will be, because make haste whilst the sun shines, if you know what I mean. It's great time to be moving, great time to be buying and selling. And you know, you need a team in place that recognises that, and that's what hopefully we're trying to manifest at the Property Hub, because it's a good time for us all to be involved.
It's getting the synergy working really well, isn't it, as well? And I think there's a lot of pressure relieved for the people that were expecting or will be in this mad rush now to still get, because what we'll find now is new people will come to the table, put properties on the market now in order to get moving, to get this new stamp duty break, which is end of June or what have you. They're going to be putting pressure on to try and get that deadline. But what you'll probably find now is that actually you've got less deposit, which means they have got money to put stamp duty in if they needed to. So actually, I think what they've done is almost ingenious, because it allows the market to continue. And like you say, they're staggering the stamp duty back rather than just a massive bang, you missed it by a day, all of a sudden you've got to pay £15,000 or, you know, whatever their stamp duty may be. I think it's going to help wonders.
And we discussed before, didn't we? How are they going to do it? How are they going to stagger it? Because there's no obvious way.
I expect them to stagger it. I expect them to stagger it from like next month.
Now.
I didn't expect them to give us another 3 months and then stagger it after. So actually, it's great, because it has just kind of enticed the market to continue flourishing and doing well. And I think, as I said to the guys this morning, speak to everybody that we've got looking at the moment, all the first-time buyers that we've got, just ascertain why they're looking at the budget they're looking at. Because there's lots of you out there now that will be looking at, say, £140,000 for your first purchase. Predominantly, that might be because you've only got the 10% deposit to allow that to happen, but you may be able to get a slightly higher mortgage. So if you can get a higher mortgage through Charles now, and you've only got the 5% deposit, it may be that your budget now actually isn't 140, it could be 180,000, 190,000, because you've got less deposit, but the figures stack up to be able to get that new home. So it's going to open up the opportunities for so many more people now to get moving to maybe a better property or something. I think it's great. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah,
so you're going to be
a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Busy. How many people do you think you'll have ringing up saying, "I want to change my product now"?
We know how late was to this today. It's been on the phone non-stop since yesterday afternoon, to be honest, which is great. You know, we welcome the questions and the calls, obviously, but and there's opportunities where people won't be helped by it potentially, but I think most people will be, and it's just it's an absolutely good news situation all round, isn't it? And 100%. You mentioned about foot off the gas, on the gas. It's very much on the gas, isn't it? I think now for all of us, now is the time to really capitalise on it, as you say, make hay. In reality, it's going to open up more deals, better deals, more houses to be sold, unlock the whole section of the market. The furlough scheme continuing, of course, is seen generally as a very, very good thing by the public. It's something just to be a little bit cautious on, though, I think, mortgage-wise, if I'm honest.
Is that a great thing for... I suppose it's great for businesses, because I think a lot of people would be concerned about bringing staff back. I mean, the property industry, we've been really fortunate, I think, as an industry, that we didn't have anyone on furlough because simply... Demand, Well, initially, I thought, right, everyone can have some time off, and then it just didn't happen. It was right, everyone, full steam ahead, the market's gone mental. But there is a flip side to that, isn't there? Like you say, with the furlough scheme, how's that affecting people with mortgages now?
Well, mortgage-wise, it's a bit different to the economy in general. And obviously, first of all, if you've got a choice of being out of work or on furlough, there's no question you want to be on furlough, obviously, right? There are some companies out there who have got staff on flexi furlough, for example, kind of edging back into it as well. And most importantly, those that are self-employed, who are taking the income support schemes and the grants and that kind of thing as well. So from a mortgage lender perspective, they're looking at it in a slightly different light to how we might if we were on furlough ourselves. And they're saying, well, actually, if that company's put you on furlough, are they okay? Are they going to survive the pandemic? Are they going to continue with it? And there are still lenders, you can count them on one hand, who are happy to take furlough, while you're on it still currently now. Everyone's okay once you're back, apart from maybe the odd couple, but once you're back and received a pay slip proving it, that's absolutely fine. So it's a short-term problem. It's not as if they're going to say, need 12 months back at work. It's 4 weeks or so and you're back again. For those that are self-employed, in particular, as I mentioned, by taking the support schemes, you're essentially signing a form that acknowledges your business has suffered due to COVID. So when you go to a lender to say, the business is doing fantastically well, we're on the up, we're on the rise, but I've taken a grant because we're not, the lenders don't like it too much at all. And there are, again, still a couple of lenders that are taking it absolutely fine, but it does limit you. It may mean that your budget's restricted, may mean that your rate's a bit higher. It's still mortgageable, but what I would strongly advise you do before taking any grants any kind of support schemes is to speak to your accountant, speak to your broker, and understand what the implications of it are. Because what I've heard from my clients is, everyone on site has been doing it, for example, because we're entitled to it, or everyone that I've spoken to in my friend circle has done it for this reason, not say everybody, but figure of speech, and taking it for the sake of it without understanding the possible implications. So, without making it a negative thing, it's a good thing. It's there for the market. It's fantastic. But if you are looking to take a mortgage out or move home soon, just have a conversation with professionals around you to seek advice on it before you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, you make a really good point there, because the beauty of the great news that we had yesterday, and I think we're all keen to stress how good it is for everyone, because we're as a group of businesses really excited, no doubt, about the opportunities that we can see over the next 6 months for obviously us, but also for our clients. When you take it in context with the rest of the budget and the rest of the package and the economy as a whole, it goes to show that it can be a bit of a minefield. And that's where hopefully we as a trio try and help clients obviously guide them through that, because we see however many transactions we see, and everyone is a little bit different. Everyone's financial position is a little bit different. Every house is a bit different.
Totally.
The legal's always a little bit different. And bringing that experience together is great for clients, because then you can have a fuller picture of where we are, not be it on the mortgage side with their particulars, be it on the property side. And that, you make a really good point there, because it's all good news as long as you get through it properly and you have the right guidance and advice. And that's really where we all try and help, I think. So, you make a good point on that. And I think that's important to obviously be aware of, and having a good team on your side is invaluable at this point.
Totally. I mean, I had a friend ring me last night, and his exact words were to me, has there ever been a better time to move?
Yeah, good question,
Reality is probably not really. I mean, the fact that the schemes that are in place now, the stamp duty discounts that are in place now, things like that, and not just for first-time buyers, but anybody, like we say, levelling up, or even investors at the moment, as well. They've been slightly less penalised about buying a second home or an investment at the minute. It's almost like now's the time to shine, really, isn't it? Now's the time to kind of put your money where your mouth is, go and move to the house you want, sell the home you're in currently, or do whatever you've got to do. So, so I think now's a great time for people to be speaking to brokers. Yep, definitely. Speak to Lionheart to find out exactly what it is that they can do. And start the ball rolling. Again, we're out valuing houses constantly. Yesterday alone, we had another 5-6 valuations booked in just after the announcement. People said, I thought we'd missed the opportunity. Actually, we're in a good position now to probably move forward. So first step is, I know Barry's got 3 valuations off for today, I think, just from, again, 2 of those just from calls from yesterday. But again, people are just wanting to A, see what the house is worth, B, see what they can loan to move forward, what equity they've got in order to put in, and get moving and see if they can beat the stamp duty.
Well, it's brilliant to see it in action, isn't it? To hear the calls you've had, the calls I've had. I was into the evening texting clients back to guys went on last night, and you have that. If you amplify that across not just us 3, but the whole market, it's worked, hasn't it? It's great to keep it busy. And the reality is, you can get on the market now, find a buyer, and get through to completion. The mortgage, certainly, mortgage-wise, lenders are offering still normal timescales. Within a week is very normal, 10 to 14 days if you've got a more complicated case. But in general, that's not a problem. Get on the market, get a mortgage, get the conveyancing through. It is doable before that session runs out of stamp duty holiday. So,
how long is it taking now for local searches? Let's use Milton Keynes as an example.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, because that's obviously oftentimes one of the bottlenecks. And it's very important that whenever you start a transaction, if you're purchasing, whatever lawyer you're using, you get your searches requested early doors, because you can do that quite early on in the transaction. It buys you a little bit of breathing space at the end. So a local search in Milton Keynes is anywhere from kind of 4 to 5 weeks at the moment. It got up as high as 8 or 9 weeks.
I was going to say, I remember it
a little while ago. It's come back down, which is great. Other local authorities are faster or slower depending on where you're buying. So if you just go down the M1 to kind of towards Luton, you can get a local search in about 3 weeks, which is a hell of a difference. So that's very important, because what you will find, and part of the juggling act of buying a house, and that's what it is a bit of a juggling act, is that the mortgage takes X amount of time, the local takes X amount of time. Some of the other bits and pieces will take their own amount of time. All these processes can run in conjunction. The trouble is, or what you get when you get problems, is when those processes don't start when they should, and then all of a sudden one of them becomes a bottleneck. So As a client, you can be on the ball in terms of making sure you're working with your team and saying, right, what do we do next? What can I do to help? Because you and I know if you're waiting for pay slips, for example, or, you know, so you can submit your application, if they don't come for a week, your hands are tied.
Absolutely.
If you're waiting for, you know, if you've got a buyer who's made an offer and you're waiting for your ID and your proof of funds and your AML compliance, you know, you can't present that offer to your vendor or you can't tie up the deal until they've done that. So as a client, they can help themselves, but our role on this side of the table is to help them themselves, giving them the right guidance, as it were. So that's a great point.
And that's the problem I think we're finding with a lot of conveyancers out there. I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but there are conveyancers that will instruct a client. They'll maybe ask a few inquiries, what have you. Then they'll want to see the mortgage offer. Then they'll go and apply for searches, and it's like, what are you doing? You've just waited 4 weeks to then wait another 4 weeks. Exactly. Like you say, the key is to have someone on side that knows what they're doing, and day one, nip everything.
That's it. Straight out
get
the
everything
gate.
ordered,
Straight
get it
out the
done,
gate.
and you know that you're ready to go.
Yeah, and I always tell clients that those first 2 weeks after the deal is tied up, that's everything. If you can get all your ducks in order, as it were, in those first 2 weeks, then things can go wrong. Obviously, not wrong per se, but things crop up. Naturally, that happens, but though that fortnight after your deal is tied up and the agent has said, great, congratulations, your offer's been accepted, let's get going. They are absolutely vital, because when you get to the end of the transaction, that's where you can buy all your breathing space, all your time.
Absolutely. Get ahead of the game.
Sit back and say, great, you know, I'm ready. What are we waiting on? Let's get the keys. And as I say, it's a team effort. That's the main thing. It's a collaborative process.
I call it the eye of the storm, that part of the process. You've gone from the whirlwind of finding property, viewing everywhere, negotiating offers, paperwork to your broker, getting an AIP, pay sits bank statements, the lot, filling in equity forms, contents forms, instruction forms, and then suddenly the phone starts ringing. There's no more calls for a few days. Everyone's busy in the background. We're all doing our thing, churning away.
Then we can all take over.
That's the busy bit. That's when things are actually happening. You know, you've got everything in motion, haven't you? The wheels are rolling at that point.
100%. So any deals that we obviously tie, or that you're tying up in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, obviously when we get them on board on this side, and when you get them on board your side, we've got our processes we go through. We all work quite well together. So there is that synergy there, which you mentioned. And that's really important, because, as I say, if we want to make the most of this opportunity, and like you said, it is, this type of government support is a one-off. And
it's not forever either. It's
not
limited.
Forever. No, it is.
That and the 5% scheme also ends December 22. I believe the announcement is going to be as well. So even that isn't it's a finite thing. Absolutely. It's not going to go on forever a day.
It is 100% a gift horse. It is a gift horse, and the one thing I noticed about it though as well is that last month, everyone that bought property from us last month wasn't buying it because they were getting the stamp duty relief. They all knew that they weren't going to be potentially hitting that stamp duty discount. But they're all happy to buy. And last month we had a phenomenal month. I think we wrapped up, I think it was like 18 new sales or something last month. Really good quality, solid sales. And none of them were expecting this stamp duty discount. But all of them now are going to benefit from this, hopefully. There's no reason why none of these should go through within the next 4 months now.
Of course.
They're all going to benefit from it, which is fantastic. So that's just people that are buying in general. But the ones that now kind of like, hang on a minute. We've still got time.
Should we, shouldn't we?
They're the ones that now are going to kind of, hopefully, chomp at a bit and get the ball rolling.
Definitely.
And the key things to stress is, if you are that person that wants to get moving and you do want to take advantage of this, just make sure you've got the right people on side. And I think that's the biggest thing to stress. We find it all the time when we're in a chain and you hear certain names crop up or something, you think this is never going to happen. We just know that process is never going to work with them involved.
As you say, naming no names, of course, but we all know.
We're all human as well, but
about who you do have on side, and it's not saying you've got to use X, Y, Z. Just do your research and make sure that the people that you've got working for you are actually working for you. And they're not just going to sit back on their laurels. And there's a friend of mine who's an agent up north, and he literally put a thing on his Facebook page the other day saying, unbelievable. They've got a solicitor they're dealing with in the chain, and the solicitor they deal with, any inquiry or email they send for a quick response, they don't look at their emails at all during the day. So at 6 p.m. at night, what have you, or 9 a.m. the next morning, I think it is, they just go to their inbox. Any email that came in yesterday, they print it, they put it there in their tray, and they go through the emails they received this, and they write back to them and post it out. Like, how ridiculous is that?
1970s and back
How
in...
ridiculous is that?
I hate to say it, but you see it. But a lot of people use it as a tactic because a lot of places are so busy at the moment.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
And it's essentially a stalling tactic. Now, you and I, we all know you can't operate your business like that because people will be very unhappy very quickly. And it goes back to before, is it a time to take your foot off the gas? Absolutely not. It's great because it gives you that breathing space, but it's not to say things are suddenly not urgent.
There's going to be a new influx now, I think, of people.
Yeah.
So if
Absolutely.
those that do kind of sit on their laurels a little bit and think, I've got some breathing space, they're going to get double busy. And I think they're going to fall to the wayside, and it's not going to bode well for them.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Now, sometimes I think to summarise everything from today, then, if you're thinking of moving, act now.
Absolutely.
Don't miss the opportunity to maximise it and save some pennies as well in the process and get on with it.
I think everything's on your side at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fair wind, as
Absolutely.
they say.
Yeah, wins in our sales for sure. Have a team in your corner, people you can rely upon and talk to. And before doing anything in terms of committing financially, have a conversation and just understand, where you're going to be from the actions that you take and how can you maximise what you can borrow, how can you minimise what you're paying for it, how can you get it through quicker, and how can you find the right house.
Absolutely.
100%.
Anything else to add to that?
No, all good. Another.
No, I think summarised quite well. I think now's the perfect time.
Yeah.
Speak to your broker because there's a lot more opportunities that there may have been a month ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Will be,
And get the right
With more to
basis
come.
on side when you do sell or buy. I think that's the general gist of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all good news.
Let's get you moving.
It was all good. I don't know about you guys. We've got another busy day in the office today. So
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
But back to it, as they say, let's get some clients moving.
Back
See you
to
next
the
week.
grind. Back to the grind.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Take
Bye.
care.